Hello everyone, and welcome to another Coffees with Toffees podcast. I'll be your host Flubb, and this is the Flupdate. We got a great show for you tonight, maybe a little bit of a short one, but a great show nonetheless. We have a few different things on the docket. We have the team updates that are going to be happening, basically the team transfers, but it's only team-based this week. There's no real single transfers except for a little bit of unknown stuff. There's like team element and things like that, but we're just going to stick to the major updates on that, and it's going to seem a lot less than last week, so it's just team updates. We also have the results of the ZOTAC tournament, and we're going to be talking about that, this tournament that just went by this past week, the best one in this week in my opinion. We also have a tournament coming up this week. We have the Epicenter tournament that has currently happened a few hours ago. They just started the group stages. We'll be talking about a little bit about those games and what to look forward to here this week, and how that will affect your week. And we also have a new Lotus Bug that I personally was figuring out with a friend of mine. We kind of have found out that there's this bug that exists, and I was kind of fooling around. There's some things, Reddit threads on it and things like that. It's a lot of fun to see it actually happen. It's happened in every game that I've found, so it's kind of like one that I've actually found on my own. And I'm excited to share it. So let's get started here, and let's talk about the team updates. So the team updates that you guys need to know are that Thunderbirds have now joined a new esports family. They've joined a new esports company called Planet Odd, and they are joining as their Dota 2 team, so you could see them branching off into other different esports. Obviously, you guys aren't here for that, you're here for that Dota news, but they're going to be going by Planet Odd now. Ninjas and Pyjamas are now being dropped, sadly, as their Dota 2 team, and they're focusing on other esports, so kind of going in a different direction, a new one spawning, an old one kind of going away. And that means all the guys, all those old Han fans coming out for the old Team Fnatic, excluding obviously No Tail and Fly, they're just kind of lost in limbo again. It kind of sucks. They haven't been doing well though, so it does make sense that they went down this path, and I can't fault the company for going down into other types of esports at this point. The ZOTAC results. Now let's talk about them. So ZOTAC was a tournament this past week. It had 8 teams fighting in it, and it was a single elimination tournament. From the group stage, they didn't have any actual pods in this tournament, but they had the top 2 teams get a bye going into the semifinals, and the bottom 2 got knocked out, while the other 4 went into the quarterfinals and faced off to each other to get to the semis. We have the teams that participated in this tournament were Team NP, Newbee, Danish Bears, Team Singularity, Digital Chaos, Warriors Gaming.Unity, and IG.Vitality, and last but not least, Fnatic. So the teams that came home with 3rd and 4th were Fnatic and IG.Vitality. We have Team NP getting 2nd and Newbee getting 1st. This tournament, I know I said it was the most exciting out of the tournaments that were this past week. Honestly, not a lot of Dota was really played at this level last week. They had a lot of weird things that happened in this tournament that I found disappointing. And when you looked at the general feeling of what happened, there was a lot of big mistakes. There was actually a point where IG, a team member of IG, I'm not going to go into it and try to push him out, but he accidentally sold his Blink Dagger during a match and kind of ruined their chances at one point. There was plenty of bad decision makings and drafts. I personally did not understand a few different drafts that Fnatic went into, going into different stages. There was some silly things that what was it? Digital Chaos had some really weird picks, and it just didn't seem like they were the teams that they once were. Maybe they're trying to hold on to strategies at the start of the summer, you know, going towards that TI. Don't want to reveal anything. Still felt very lackluster for tournaments though, and I was a little bored by it. So if you're gonna watch anything, I mean, you could watch the finales, because NP still showed up and was playing pretty well. I think their new lineup has shown its results in the past few tournaments that they've been in. Newbee just seems to be one step above them every single time, and they seem to be they always seem to be Newbee getting one leg up on them on every tournament. And they're not even the ones that have generally been stomping everyone. So it's interesting to see those two teams and where they will kind of get a glimpse at what we're seeing them at TI, maybe. But I don't think that any of these other teams really showed off their true colors at this tournament. Alright, moving on to Epicenter. Epicenter is probably one of the most important things that is going to be going on this week. It is a great week going to be for Dota, at least in my opinion, because I've seen a couple of these games already and they are great. But the tournament is in Moscow, and it is about a $500,000 prize pool, which most of these tournaments that I'm talking about are about a $100,000 prize pool. So when you start getting over that amount, people start looking forward to it, and bigger teams starting to get involved. So there's going to be 10 teams in this single elimination tournament. And unlike the other tournament, the group stage is going to be split into 2 5-man pods. And the top team of each pod gets a bye. The bottom 2 get knocked out. And then the other 2, like the middle 2, are going to be starting in the quarterfinals, just like how it worked in the other tournament. The teams that are going to be involved in this tournament, though, are OG, Evil Geniuses, Virtus Pro, Team Liquid, Invictus Gaming, Na'Vi, Planet Odd, Team Secret, Clutch Gamers, and LGD Forever Young. The first 2 series have actually already been played today, and they were some great series. The first series was, well, I think they really happened both at the same time. I was watching them both at the same time. LFY was versus OG, and Virtus Pro was versus Clutch Gamers. Now, LFY took the victory, both victories over OG, which I'll get into here in a bit, which is very surprising. But then Virtus Pro took 2-0, the same as LFY, versus their opponents, Clutch Gamers. The Clutch Gamers and Virtus Pro games were interesting. There was a lot of back and forth in the very beginning of the game. They gave them a good run for their money, but Virtus Pro just really proved themselves when they got to their mid game. They had a lot better team fights, a lot better coordination in their movements, and just gave them a stronger victory at that point, because there was a lot of pulling out of fights at certain points that seemed hopeless, and it would have been better to, maybe the shot calling was bad at that point, and that's why they had to pull out, and they realized, oh man, everything's going awry, we need to get out. So I felt a little off on that game, on a couple of the mid game points, but generally their first like 20 minutes is great Dota action, so you can watch that, and it's very nail biting at that point. But as we all know, once you get to mid game, that's kind of where it's at in this meta. So not the best show for them, and kind of makes me look a little bit bad, because I was saying that I liked what I saw with Clutch Gamers, so I'm a little disappointed. But this is just the group stage, and we'll see where it goes from there. Speaking of it only being the group stage, it's still a great win for these guys. But LFY getting those 2 on OG was an incredible series. I really enjoyed it. The first game, they had an off-lane Zeus on LFY, and they actually had a way to keep it up. He basically does what all off-lane Zeuses do, going into a lot of mana regen, getting the availability of having a raindrop, and using a soul ring to help yourself get to a lot more mana. And on top of all of that, they even had a Crystal Maiden on the team, so giving him a lot of aura on the off lane, doing a lot of potential of just giving him so much mana. They actually worked really well, because OG went greedy and they said that, oh, we could take this, and then they had Veno jungle in the very beginning. So it was very greedy of them to do that, and they had a great game plan to kind of counteract this greediness that OG was putting out. And we don't get to see a lot of LFY whenever they mix into the, because they don't generally go outside of the Chinese scene. So it's really great to see them, and beating down OG pretty handily the first game. The second game was quite a bit different. It was a lot of back and forth. There was some great hard fought fights in between both teams going back and forth, and they actually ended the game with both teams being mega'd. Great thing to watch. Any Dota player can say when both teams are mega'd and you're having fun. Now there was a little bit of a one-sidedness with having, who was it? It was LFY kind of had a one-sided point, and then same thing with OG kind of going back and forth. It was really good, but the real credit is due to the incredible plays made by Dazzle and Terrorblade on LFY. DDC on Dazzle was just crazy good, and it was great to watch. So if you're wanting to watch those replays, those are going to be ones that you're going to be really looking forward to. Jerax actually had a major blunder as well, and people have actually already started making a little bit of GIFs of it and things like that. He had a Cyclone staff, and he cycloned up a enemy Batrider to try to set up a stun for him. But before he actually had that happen, they had Ana jump in with a Blink Dagger, and he Omni ulted as a Juggernaut the Batrider. So it canceled that damage out, letting Batrider live for the whole fight, and did a lot of damage because of it. So obviously even the pros make mistakes, even the ones that are currently winning majors make mistakes. So, you know, it feels good whenever you see a team such as good as them making that, but at the same time it makes me feel upset because they should be a little bit better, and it's kind of a back and forth love-hate thing. So but if these series are any show of what this tournament is going to be, and I think it is, it's going to be a great tournament. So keep your eyes peeled this week for Dota. I think that Epicenter is going to be fantastic. The next series is going to be starting up in 8 hours, so catch up on that sleep while those games are going to be on hold for a little bit, and you should be able to see like 6-game series. For some reason they only had 2 series today, but they're going to have like 6 or 8 tomorrow. Alright, cool. So we got all these tournaments kind of figured out, and I've told you a little bit about each one. We got the Lotus Bug, though. That's what we got to talk about here at the end. Where we have this Lotus Bug that I found out, and you guys may have already experienced it, but how Lotus is supposed to work is it's supposed to reflect any spell that's targeted on the object. So it reflects it back to everyone else, and well, not everyone else, but to the target who casted it. And if they have Ags, it's supposed to reflect the Ag. So if it's like a Lion ultimate, it'll reflect it back in an AoE the same way that it did to him. So it's got an interesting concept to the item. Now, if you don't have Ags on a Storm Spirit and you still Vortex a person who has who has Lotus Orb on them, it is treated as Ags. So it's a really weird concept that you don't have to have Ags for it to work like an Ags when it's hitting you. So it is like my favorite way to counter a Storm Spirit now. I really suggest you guys getting it. And this was made possible by playing with my friend on on Dota, and his name's T-Stein. I thought I'd give him a shout out since he was the one who really pointed it out to me. So it's really funny that happened, and I suggest you guys trying it out in your games and getting basically what people are calling the Ravage, you know, the Vortex Ravage out of your enemies. And that kind of wraps us up. I'm going to go back through my Flubb announcements. If you haven't heard them in the past week, you'll hear them again. Sorry for the little noise in the background. I need to turn off that. Okay. So the Flubb announcements are that we are changing stations soon. We really appreciate what Toffees has done for both me and Kimbrel, but we are going to make our own type of channel, kind of give our own freedom to it, and see how it works. Honestly, we love all the fans that we have gathered by being a part of Toffees family in this whole thing. And honestly, I was helping him out because he's a great friend of mine in real life, and I just wanted to help him when he was working on CSL. Because when he's on CSL, he can't do any type of shows or anything, and I wanted to kind of show my own format. So he scratched my back, and I scratched his at the same time, and it was all for good fun. And if you guys want to continue to follow me, that's great. I will have my new setup for you in about a month's time. Should be like 3 weeks now. I said a month last week. So look forward to that. And if you guys want to continue to support Toffees, I'll be listing down the stuff below, and we will still be supporting us for the next month as well. So let's go to the closeout. We have channel Rebel Base Rebels. They are the ones who are providing the free music that we're listening to before when we start up the cast, and generally I have it in the background. Sometimes it doesn't pick it up just right. Sorry for those who haven't been hearing it. But we also, if you guys can subscribe or like any of our videos, that will really help us out. And you can subscribe or like to them. Subscribe or like them on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Toffees_Dota2. You can go to our YouTube channel, 5-Gaming. You can give to our Patreon if you're feeling extra generous by going to www.patreon.com/Toffees. If you have any needs for going into the audio versions instead of going into the VODs, you can go and follow us on Stitcher, iTunes, or SoundCloud. If you have any questions for me or Toffees, you can follow Toffees at ToffeesTV, and you can follow me at my Twitter at FlubbDota. If you have any need for casting or anything in general that you want to send messages about, let me know and send it to crazyflubb@gmail.com. Alright guys, you've now been updated. I hope you enjoyed the episode this week, like I did, and I will catch you on Friday for Brewmaster's Draft, or I'll catch you next week for a brand new Flupdate. Alright, see you later. Keeping it open just for a little bit, like I always do. Let the thing record. I think I only have one viewer right now.